What's up, everybody? I'm back with another movie review, and today I am doing another Marvel review, and this is of Black Panther, released in 2018, and it focuses on the backstory and origins of Black Panther. Though, weirdly enough, it does take place post his first Marvel movie appearance, which was Winter Soldier. If you want to check out my review on that movie, you can check out the movie reviews playlist. It's already out. And I talked about Black Panther in that, not knowing if that was really his first appearance in this, his first appearance in the Marvel franchise or not. But I now know that it was. So you can check that out. But I got a lot of thoughts on this movie, so let's just jump right into it. So, like I said, I thought this movie would be more about the origins of Black Panther and kind of like the style of where it's set when he's like younger and stuff. We do get a lot of backstory about Black Panther, and like how things came to be with like the enemy and also himself, and like how that worked out. But I thought it would be set back then. I didn't think it would take place after the events of Winter Soldier. I don't know why. I just, like, a lot of those other movies, like Ant-Man, Doctor Strange, Captain America, Iron Man, like all their Thor, even all those. Well, I guess not really Thor, but all those other like first movies. I guess you could include Thor. They all take place like before they're like really incorporated. And so I guess I just wish that they had done that. But I mean, it's still done well. It's still definitely an origin movie. There's a lot of there's a lot of backstory and a lot more introduction to a lot of the powers that he can do. That maybe were touched on a little bit in Winter Soldier, but are a little bit more elaborated. Which I said in the Winter Soldier review that I hope that they would do that in the Black Panther movie, and they did that pretty well. So, I thought it wild that the dad from This Is Us, one of the dads from This Is Us, is in this movie. He dies eventually, and he puts on an accent, but you can easily tell that it's him, which is just wild to me. Let's talk about his powers. Black Panther's like suit powers. I'm not that impressed. I really am not. They weren't bad though. I just kind of was expecting more. He's got the claws like a panther, and he's got really good jumping abilities. And his big thing is like the shockwave thing. He can charge up his suit and do a big like shockwave thing. That is a cool move in my opinion. I like that part. But his powers do fit the name, like Black Panther, but they don't. I don't know. There are a lot stronger. There are a lot stronger Avenger characters in the MCU that can do similar, if not better, powers than Black Panther can. But for where he is and what he's doing, it works out well. So I can't be too mad there. So all these characters, for the most part, have like accents, and that's because they're from Wakanda, and they gotta touch on that. So I understand why they have the accents. Some of them, sometimes it made some of the words that they were saying a little hard to understand. It was never like bad, but and you get used to it. But like when you first hear it, it can just be like, oh, I need to really listen here, make sure I understand everything. So just know that going forward. This movie is a weird soundtrack, in my opinion. I really didn't. They do a lot of rap songs, and I think that's okay. Like they did a good job of using those, and then sometimes they didn't. Like they use modern songs or, songs that maybe fit the culture a little bit better, which is fine. It just didn't really feel like in place for the movie. Like the execution wasn't bad, I guess, but it just felt like, did they really need to do this, or did they not? And that's where I think about the soundtrack. It just wasn't bad. It was just a little bit out there. I feel like, and this might be a little bit of an out there take, but I feel like this movie focuses pretty heavily on like the culture of Wakanda and like and the history of Black Panther and Wakanda itself, more than like showing off the abilities and the combat. Now, don't get me wrong, they do a good job of showing the combat pretty well. They do a good job of depicting the suit's abilities. They do a good job of him finding the enemy. A lot of the other characters getting involved. So there is a lot of combat. But compared to other movies in the MCU, like their origin movies, Doctor Strange, Captain America, Iron Man, I talked about them already. This one's definitely a lot more culturally focused. And it's not a bad thing. Again, they did include a lot of fighting as well. So I think they mixed it together really, really well. But it was just kind of a different take for them. And I think there's a big reason why they did that. And I think they did it pretty well. So they're back to the jabs at politics. In these last few reviews, I did not talk about any jabs at politics because there weren't any. This one definitely has a little bit of a jab at politics, though, with the American governments getting involved, and like big government people taking taxpayer money and gambling it away in South Korean casinos. That was a pretty big piece of the movie where that was set. So that was pretty funny to see, but also possibly a lot of truth to it too. This was one of the I honestly thought this was one of the better villains that I've seen, especially in the Marvel movies, but also overall, because the guy who played the villain did a great job of making the character very, very, very unlikable. I hated this character. He was just an ass and just had no sympathy, no remorse for anything ever in the world, no empathy, no care for anything in the world except for himself. Though he made it seem like he was standing up for black people all across the world, which is where I feel like maybe they were making a little bit of a political stance there, which I guess you kind of have to expect. It's not really like a big empowerment movement. They kind of they don't try to go into that a whole lot, but they do a little bit. But I think that's an alright thing to do. But they, like I said, did a really good job of making him very unlikable. And I think that's why he's really good at the actor at this piece. The final piece, the enemy's death, it really reminded me of Mike's death in Breaking Bad, with him when they're sitting on the cliff looking at the sunset. He's already been shot, he's dying, and then he just dies right there after they have a meaningful conversation. Same thing when Mike's at his watering, like the fishing spot, and he's dying, and Walt comes over and is just talking to him. Very, very similar resignations there with the piece. Also, when they did the first challenge at the King's spot, like the first battle, not the one with the main villain, but the one before that, that to me felt like in Madagascar 2 when Alex fought Tsitsi. That's what it felt like to me, like kind of the aura and the setting of that is kind of what I felt like there. Just wanted to point that out, but that's all my notes. My final score for Black Panther. Probably have to give it an 8 out of 10. It was a good movie, I thought. Nothing great, but I thought it was still a pretty good movie. Just left a lot more to be desired when it came to the abilities and stuff like that, I thought. But that's going to do it for this review. If you've ever seen Black Panther, I'd like to know your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. And that's going to do it for this video. So stay tuned for much more amazing content. Until next time, I will see you guys later. Goodbye.